A lot for everyone. So, you guys already know from the title of this video, let's jump right in. The greatest initiation that I have ever been through. And yes, I've done a lot of the LSD, a lot of the shrooms, a lot of the things, and the things that people say you need to do to awaken, which of course you don't need none of that, okay? But the greatest initiation that I've ever been through, and this is going to change your whole life, your whole trajectory of your life. This has the capacity to change your money, your love, your success, your peace, your everything, my love. But the greatest initiation that I've ever been through is accepting that all the stories, and just stay, when you get triggered, just stay through and just observe. But accepting that all the stories that everyone has ever said about me, there's some truth. There's some truth. One of my favorite teachers says that there's always three forces in life. There's your side, and when we talk about interpersonal relationships, there's your side, there's the other person's side, and then there's the neutralizing force, which is life at the very top. And so what that really means in regards to this, and we're really about to dive deep into how to actually accept yourself and how I've come to do it after all these years. The very biggest thing when it comes to understanding this is understanding that there's always another force that is at play that is creating people's perception of you. The force is going to be the circumstance, it's going to be life, it's going to be whatever thing that has created that interaction, right? And so when we really sit and think about that, then we know that number one, of course, we cannot change other people's perception of us, but also number two, that the situation, the circumstance that you have found yourself in with another individual has been carefully curated to bring through a specific piece of you. And of course, that we know that life is a mirror in the way that it helps us to explore various aspects that we have come here to explore, that we have agreed to explore in this lifetime. And so what I'm saying here is the fact that when someone gets a specific version of you, when someone experiences that version of you that is darker, that version of you that is more shadowy or bitchy or more selfish or this or that, there's always truth, a little bit of truth in everything. But the key here, and before you get to that point where you are like, I'm about to click out this video because I just don't agree, the key that I want you to understand with this is that when it comes to owning your power, it's not just owning your light, and it's not just owning your dark. The key to owning your power is owning your truth. Now, what does that mean? That means that there are so many different layers, different aspects, different versions of you that life has inspired through you, that you have been. There's a version of you who is loving and leadership or caring or motherly or fatherly or whatever the case is. There's a version of you that's so in tune with this energy of love. But then there's also this version of you that is in tune with the shadow, that is in tune with your anger, that is in tune with that version of you who just sees red or just sees black. And people all day can say that they've met that version of you, and their perception of you is going to be influenced not only by you, but also by that neutralizing force of life. And people don't really realize that there's always a circumstance and a situation that will bring forth that different aspect of you. And so you find your power in owning all aspects of you that are true, all aspects of you that have come forward. One of my favorite quotes from P.S. Love Jolie, I think she's Earth Mama Naturals on YouTube, is you can't shame the unashamed. And so what that means is when you own all of those parts of you, all of the stories, all of the narratives to some degree, right? We don't mean all, because again, there's that neutralizing force that is skewing people's perception that people don't really realize is there. But when you own all parts of you, all versions of you, and you own what has brought you to that point, and you own maybe the trauma and trigger that you have acted from that inspired that version of you, and you own whatever situation that really has brought up that version of you, when you own that version of you, And when you no longer have shame for that version of you, what ends up happening? You set yourself free. You no longer try to hide and tuck away this version of you. No. And this is the thing that we do in the spiritual community. Stay even longer if you're triggered. This is what we do in the spiritual community, right? We come into life, we live life, and so many, coaches and spiritual people, X, Y, and Z, they're like, oh, I've awakened, I have all this knowledge, oh my gosh, you have an access of knowledge in the head, and you're not integrating it in your body, but that's a whole nother story. But you have all this knowledge, and yes, now I'm a new person. Oh, that old version of you, that old version of me, no, she don't exist. I love that. It's the beautiful dance of being human is, especially when we come into the spiritual path of spiritualizing the ego, right? And over-identifying with these new concepts that we're just now learning, but again, not embodying. And so what ends up happening, what we're not allowed to talk about in the spiritual industry, in the spiritual community, in the spiritual space, is who we were to become who we are. And also, we're not allowed to talk about all the things that have happened up until this point. My most viewed video right now on YouTube, I am laying it out. I had anger issues. I was arrested. I was homeless. I did this. I did that. I'm laying it all out. And the beautiful part about that is I am accepting all truths. There's people who have met me, that was like 8 years ago. There's people who met me who still have that version of me in their head, who I'm sure you see me online, you see me here, you see me there. Oh, that's not her. I know the real version of her. And there's people who feel the same way about you right now. That's not them. I know the real version of them. And we get so irritated, right? No, I have created this version of me and now you cannot knock it down. But the thing here is when you come into that space of acceptance that all truths are true, you're no longer affected by other people's judgments. Because you understand that their version of you is 100% valid in their eyes, in their perspective, in their life. 110%, their version of you is so valid. But when you hold that truth and when you're in tune with that truth within, then you also understand that while they are valid, and maybe they're making things up, maybe they're not admitting some things about, to themselves, maybe they're not taking accountability, that's a whole other story. However, their truth is valid, and guess what is also valid? My truth of how I see myself now, of who I choose to be now, of who I have become. That's also valid. And you have to understand that all these different aspects of yourself have come together to this point to create who you are. And so something that we like to do in the spiritual industry is we don't like to talk about the old. We don't like to talk about what happened. We don't like to talk about who we were before or who we are having trouble with integrating, because I don't even want to use that framework, right? It's not about who we were, because I am all versions of me, but I have integrated all versions of me. I've integrated the light and I have integrated the dark, and now I'm here to be present just like how you are. But one of the ways that we can tell that we're not being present is when we deny different aspects of ourselves. We're not being fully present. We're not fully integrating who we actually are. Because even though you can go through therapy and you can go through this and this and this and the third, and you can have all these mistakes and you can no longer identify with that version of you who did, harmful things or whatever the case is, harmful things to yourself, or maybe you didn't show up that good in relationships or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, we must understand that every energy that is within us serves to be alchemized. It can be alchemized. The light can be alchemized just as easily as the dark can be alchemized as well. And so I'm going to tell you a quick story here too. I got my hand in Ifa a while back, over a year ago now. Received Sodé a couple months ago. Learned that I was a child of Yamaja. Always knew I was a child of Yamaja. Always was a fish. Always swam in the ocean like it was my home. I feel more comfortable swimming in the ocean. I feel peace at the ocean. But when I learned that I was a child of Ogun, as we can see, right? From my tattoos especially, which is really an ode to Ogun. But when I learned I was a child of Ogun, I started understanding myself more. Ogun is the Orisha that clears our roads. He is the Orisha that creates a path for us. But Ogun is also the Orisha that is the warrior. You want to be careful with what you tell Ogun, because Ogun will kill your enemies. Yes, that is who Ogun is. Ogun is in tune with that energy of creation with the heart, but also equally in tune with that energy of destruction. And we know that in the heart, to enter the light, we must go through the dark. We must come into that space of radical acceptance, and that is the only space, or that is the only time that we can move into transformation. And so again, with Ogun, when I learned I was a child of Ogun, and I started piecing together all the things, with my anger issues, with things that I've gone through and that I've went through, evolved through, I started understanding my own energy. And you don't have to be a child of Ogun for you to understand this, but I want to just break it down really quick of how energy can really be alchemized. There's a story in Ifa that basically speaks about this, a very loose, remembrance of this story. I have not studied this story, but I really resonate with some aspects of this story. There's a story in Ifa that speaks about someone who called on Ogun, and someone who basically Ogun came forth for, and Ogun came up, and Ogun killed the whole village. Even though they only called on Ogun for one thing, they weren't really clear on that one thing. They weren't really clear on what exactly they wanted Ogun for. Ogun, please just clear the way. Ogun, please just clear the way. And Ogun killed everybody in sight. And that shows that same energy that can be used to open the way. Again, Ogun opens the way. Ochosi is the one who shows us the most easeful direction and efficient direction. But the same energy that can open the way, the same energy that can create, that same energy can destroy. And so while he is a very, 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 very powerful Orisha, as all of them are, we also have to understand that there is light and there is dark, but it's up to us when we come into the seat of our own power to understand the whole aspect of our power. When we come into that space of understanding our own truth and understanding the truth that has been within every situation and every interaction that you have with somebody, that is the only time that you can use your power for good. That is the only time that you can create beautiful things. That is the only time, when you understand your capacity to destroy, that is the only time that you can really understand your power to create sometimes. And so I say all this to say, there may be people who are listening to this and they're like, Corday, I stayed for the triggers and I'm still not resonating with this. I'm going to be so honest with you. It's because probably I'm not for you. Who I'm for is for the people. Not for the people who, I'm sensitive, because I'm very sensitive too, but not for the people who are sensitive and they, I'm such a good person, I have such a good heart, 100%, but I'm actually here to hold space for all parts of you. I know you're a good person. I'm a good person. Everybody's a good person. I don't believe in fundamentally bad people unless you literally have a mental disorder. That is a different story. Everyone's a good person. Everyone has a capacity to be a good person. But are you willing to hold space for all versions of yourself, even the parts of you who are not so good all the time? Who I'm for is for the people who really want to get to a deeper level of understanding of life and of humanity and of their role in this whole life game. Again, I help visionaries create a new earth. And for us to understand our roles, we must understand our ability to create and destroy. And so the biggest initiation that I've ever been through is actually accepting myself, accepting the truths. All the things that people have said bad about me are 100% true, and all the things that people have said good about me are 100% true. And that way, when you feel, and that's something that we do, right? When you feel someone complimenting you, and you don't really resonate with that compliment, you may try to push it away. You may, no, I'm not that good. No. Actually, I am good and I am bad. Actually, I am an expert and a beginner. Actually, I am a teacher and a student. When you acknowledge and see truth in all, you no longer push away the energy that the universe is presenting to you, right? Especially when it comes in the forms of blessings. We have that guilt. We hold that shame. There's something wrong with me. But when you see truth in the things that are not so good about you, and you see them as, and you choose to accept them rather, and you choose to accept all parts of you, that's the only moment in time that you can come into your power, because you see that all of these things are true. So then you can accept that compliment, and you can accept that slight, not from a way of disrespect, but hey, maybe I don't know it all. Maybe I don't know this. Maybe I don't know that, and that's okay, right? Because it's only in that state of observation that we can really ever achieve enlightenment. Enlightenment, yes, is a state of nirvana. Enlightenment, yes, is this state of bliss. But enlightenment also is that state of observation. Being able to observe the mind, the body, and the spirit, and become the observer of all, right? And so one of the ways that we can really get into that state of enlightenment is through acceptance. Of no longer resisting what is within. And coming to terms with all versions of ourselves. And part of the way that we can begin to do that is by accepting the truth in every story. This helps you understand who you really are, what your capabilities are. But also, when you come into a state of really knowing yourself, of really knowing who you really are at your core, that is the only time that you can really, 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 really accept yourself. And so if there's something that's coming up for you that's causing some internal resistance within you, like someone is saying this, that, and the third, and there's like this really annoying, like gnawing feeling in your stomach that you're perceiving or that you're feeling when someone is telling you something, that's always an invitation to look within. The trigger is always an invitation to look within. It's always an invitation to say, what's going on here? There's a reason why I'm looking at this and I'm feeling some resistance in my body. There's always an invitation to come closer and closer to yourself. Is there something within me that resonates with this? Is there something within me that does not resonate with this? Is there something within me that is just like fighting this internal battle, this internal thing within myself? And is that why it's triggering me? I want you to just do yourself a favor today after you listen to this video, whenever you did listen to this video, for the next 24 hours, let's just say that. Notice all the things that trigger you. Notice all the things that you negatively react towards. And why? Why are you triggering this? Or why is this triggering you? Is it positively provoking you, like how one of my clients said on office hours the other day? Or is it negatively provoking you? And just ask why. Allow yourself to become the observer of your mind, of what's coming up. The only way to truly be authentic is to really accept yourself. The only way to be authentic is to accept yourself, and to accept yourself, all versions of yourself, as valid. And that starts by accepting all parts of you and being okay with being in every role, and understanding that our energy has so many different facets. And there's going to be somebody who experiences the light version of you, and there's going to be people who may have experienced the dark version of you. And a good person isn't someone who does good things all the time. A good person is someone who is self-aware and is always striving for that self-improvement and that evolution. Not from a space of vanity, but from that space of, am I being in tune with my true self? And we know that underneath all the ego and underneath all the personality, the true self is always in tune with love. So am I always acting from love, from love within myself, from love for others, for love for the divine? Am I always acting in alignment with that? A good person isn't someone who does good all the time. The good person is the person who is really able to be self-aware and accountable and be in acceptance and always move to that state, towards that state of evolution. So, accept it, baby. Accept it. Like, there are people gonna fucking hate you, man. That's okay. Because that version of them that's in their minds is 100% valid. And guess what? That version of yourself, who you know yourself to be right now, is also 100% valid too. And so the biggest initiation ain't gonna come from your ayahuasca, ain't gonna come from your buffo, ain't gonna come from your peyote. It's not gonna come from none of that shit. It's gonna come from you really accepting yourself. Because guess what? Another feature of people who have accepted themselves is they are magnets. They are magnetic. Magnets. They are magnetic. They are magnetic. Because people can sense when you're telling the truth about yourself, even if it's the bad things. People can sense when you're lying about who you are. It's a certain stink. Sometimes people can't tell what it is, but they can tell there's a little bit of stink to what's going on in this here conversation. And so if you're wondering as a coach, as a practitioner, as whatever industry that you're in, why am I not, I'm saying all the right things, but are they true for you? Have you really come into terms with who you truly are? And are you willing to create from that space instead of from the space of who you think that you should be? Can you accept yourself? Can you know yourself, and can you accept yourself? That is some of my musings from the dark. You guys know, if you've been following my videos, that I've been in this space of stillness. I've been in this space of really sitting with myself, sitting with the divine. That's one of my musings. It's self-acceptance and being okay with everything. Being okay with the dark. So, I love y'all so much. If you made it all the way here, comment an elephant, because I have an elephant here that I'm looking at. If you made it all the way here, comment an elephant. And you know what's so funny? I'm gonna say real quick. Please don't click out yet. The elephant represents Obatala in the Orisha tradition in Ifa. And Obatala is, of course, the one who, molded the humans. But also Obatala helps to, or basically represents our ability to tap into our crown. And Obatala is the one who is in all white. He is the wise one, right? And that wisdom, we can know, sorry for all the sounds, we can understand too that wisdom, that deep level of wisdom comes from acceptance and embodiment, not just knowledge. So comment a little elephant, a little bit more of Ifa teas today. And there's so much more that I want to share with you guys. There's so much that I have in store. There's so much that's changing within myself, and that will change, what I share. So I love you, and I'll see you later. Bye.